Hello everybody, my name is Troublmaker. This is Wargame AirLand Battle, and I have a 2v2 today. Yeah, 2v2s. I don't know much about team play. I'm a single player type guy, so this will be a learning experience for me too. And before I get into this match, the schedule, I will be doing a match or two or three every Friday, depending on what people are doing. There's really great matches. I'll put every single one up. On Saturday, I will be playing the campaign, and on Monday, I'll do a tutorial and guide. And this week, I've decided to go with artillery. I'm going through the various types that they're used for, how to use them on the field, costs and whatnot. So yeah, that's good stuff. Back to the map. So we have a NATO versus NATO. No surprise. It seems to be the generic thing right now. And we have Fussel and Gondie. I assume these are ranks of Colonel and Colonel. Gondel. This could be Gondel. Fussel and Gondie. And we're getting Sergeant Giboros and Olivarius. Olivarius, of course, is actually somebody. Olivarius, of course, was I think top 64, top 128 in the Wargame Cup. So good to see him back. Unfortunately, he's only a private, and it is team play. It's NATO versus NATO. We have two colors, blue and red, or as I like to call them, light blue and dark orange. And we'll see what team play goes like. It's usually pretty chaotic. I will say that much. 2v2 especially, like 4v4 so much it's like, oh, we each control a flank, but in 2v2 it gets kind of chaotic. And Fussel says defend, Gondie says attack, and Gondie says attack. So already we have a difference of philosophy from these two players. One guy wants to defend, the other guy wants to attack. And you know what the point where he wants to defend is really far away from the point where Gondie wants to attack. So have to see how this goes. Another flag getting thrown up here, and attack. So Fussel will be taking Foxtrot, Gondie will be taking this random forest and echo. Oh, I see. This is neat because this will actually be a quick rally for echo, and looks like there will be a battle for Foxtrot right off the bat, being the fastest rally point. Now, no 5-point bases to start off with. That is crazy amount. There's also a 3-point base here at Charlie, and this Echo 5-point base is quite good because it's 5 points, 3 points compared to the other things. And this is a move that was very common in the betas, which has kind of fallen out of play. I mean, the idea is you get one of these fighter/bombers. Well, it's technically just a fighter, air superiority fighter, but it can hit the ground. And you have him rush ahead to try and wipe out any recon helicopters, any kind of helicopters, or any kind of sneaky play. And he's doing it right at the 5-point marker here, so that if someone's on the move fast command, like a command, which usually goes faster than a vehicle, they will be picked off immediately. And so immediately you're seeing a little bit of helicopter volleying here. One helicopter goes down, and Fussel gets an immediate lead, and here comes a second helicopter hitting down both Dorniers. That's a pretty big steal. And HKP does release a little bit of its cargo via the para option from down to helicopter. And this anti-air helicopter is in fact all out of health. He has lured him in, however, into the Yager range, and that takes him out. So there are one infantry squad in place here, and looks like it's just a giant blob of infantry with some light tanks on the way. So this looks like it'll be a pretty sizable engagement to wipe out these 40 Yagers here. All the while on a different front, we see that this town has been taken control of by our Yagers, and position has been taken here in the woods. I'm kind of interested to see what they do here. Looks like they've grabbed the Charlie base, they grabbed the two 5-point bases, and basically it's mirrored. Neither side is really going for this middle base, too risky, and instead choosing to deploy lots of units. But here we go, a Grizzly CP, 100-point command, moving into position at this very scary golf location. And so now he's going to be able to leapfrog into enemy way. Now note a little imbalance on this map. 2 points here, 1 point here. Now, it's not really an imbalance in the sense that one player gets more benefit over the other, but it is. Clearly, these two towns here are much, much easier to defend in this big open field. And we can see here these Yagers are just becoming a pain to remove. A huge pain. And he's losing a nice bit of vehicles in this too, which is just a little bit of poor micro and a little bit of poor control. Just moving these T631 vehicles as spotters, I guess, and trading at 1 point for basically no kills. The Chasseurs here will go down, which should remove the vision of the towns, if they go down, that is. These poor little 1 point bases. Over on the side here, we're seeing that it's another little infantry war. This time, however, it's a recon infantry, which will go down. These higher Regiment Vernes are dead randomly. The hell was that? Well, we just saw some rocket barrage, which is okay, I guess. And yeah, the Jager Chasseurs are still going out. The Jagers are taking considerable losses, however, and now it's finally cleaned up for our blue players, Team Blue, who have now basically secured these two areas here and made it so they can kind of strike at this zone here pretty freely. Also, here's a little thing. He's got a Jager in this town here. I think he was doing this for something different though, because you can see this is a nice little attack path here. No, it's actually nothing. This is just foolishness, I believe. Complete and utter foolishness. I don't see a benefit to this whatsoever because it doesn't lead anywhere. And I mean, the troops actually appear right here, so this doesn't actually do anything. All right, 2v2, not starting out the best for Team Red here, who are about 200 points behind and need to make some ground. So we do see he has picked up another of these Hussars, recon units, and we'll probably get this kill as they trying to creep out of the woods, but getting picked up as they retreat. Oh, those poor souls. One guy left and dead. Pretty intense action so far in this infantry-packed game as Legion is going to engage another one of these 1 point vehicles. I guess they're not 1 point anymore. I guess they're just free. And we're seeing nice general spread of infantry along the map. So both players playing very well to the metagame. We see a command has in fact been placed in the box drop, feeling very, very secure. And this will give Red a pretty strong economic lead with 2 1 point bases now. As well, they'll be gaining the very, very fast rally points, both of them. And here's the interesting thing now. Will this Jager come into play? I don't think it can. I don't think there's a possible way for that to happen. But it could be interesting. And also note with this map, and this is something that's kind of cool, there is a big wall here that can be abused. So if you were to place troops here or along the side here, you could strike into here very easily. Oh, Mirage gets taken down by an F-15 Eagle. Look at this badass doing his victory lap. Oh yeah. Major time to ground control. Sorry, just got inspired. Looks like our blue team is actually going to go ahead and secure the Echo base, so just completely switching up the whole economic advantage thing. And here we go, Hussars trying to take out an AMX-13 Harpoon. Not being confused with a harpoon, I guess. You know, it doesn't look like a harpoon to me. And this is just an odd little thing, because usually the recon units don't kill stuff. That's just how it goes. And look at this, look at this. He's actually going with a recon to take out this Jager, which of course doesn't do anything. Does nothing at all. It barely does any spotting. It doesn't spot anything of particular value in the least. So I'm just confused as why it's here. And look at this, another Sagney. We're going to try and pick off this PV Group RB5. Well, that's a crazy number. And of course, if you're also new to the game, the shapes of the weapons here give you an indicator of what it is. And you can see this little, it looks like an RPG. It's got like a plunger, like a bathroom plunger. That indicates that it's an anti-tank weapon. And more specifically, it's a tank destroyer type. So it doesn't fire rockets, it fires very nice cost-effective munitions. Compared to, like just like this one, yes, he has the exact same thing. Nice little cost-effective well, not anymore now, it's dead, but it's a very supply effective unit, and we're seeing some continued air battles going on as both players are trying to nuke each other to shoot and track the FPA almost, or maybe it's a rapier, almost out. And these AMX 1-3 harpoons are creeping through the forest. This is basically, as far as wargame European escalation goes, in that world, crawling tanks through forest was a huge no-no. And I guess it's okay in this version of the game, because here he goes with 3 tanks through this area. And man, I'm just missing all these great jet fighter kills here, as that jet fighter just went down. F-14 Tomcat deployed, however, and he's just going to cruise on over. Will he spot anything? Rockets are away. He sees the Harrier in the distance. Does he get the Harrier? He doesn't. It looks like it will basically get away. And oh, the tracked rapier looks like it's going to go down to these harpoons. And the woods are now secure by our pack player, who's definitely pushing this massive rally advantage that has been gained. And now with these woods secured, has been given a great vantage point to strike in the distance, hit all these open vehicles, and really just push the hand of Mr. Gondie to try and change his tactics a little bit. All these poor infantry might just get caught in the open. These AMX 13 harpoons do seem to have some rocket support, so able to push all these TPZ folks in the wrong direction. Complete wrong way. They do not want to go there, and all is unfortunate. There are 20 Jaegers caught out in the open as well, so that's kind of interesting. Looks like this harpoon is almost out of fuel, and looks like that little engagement is mostly done. Now we are seeing a lot of units on the map, probably something ranging around 200, 300. Note that this player here has decided that his F-14 Tomcat, this is his air superiority fighter, looks pretty badass to me, will be in fact patrolling around basically because he wants to be able to catch other aircraft off guard. Now a Leopard 2 out in the open, just one. Will it be able to do any damage against these harpoons? And harpoons, from what I'm guessing, are pretty cheap. Yeah, 20 points per, whereas Leopard is 100 points. So you can't lose this Leopard. No, you cannot. It is only 1 hit point down, however, and he will probably, hopefully, use the supply truck to fuel that back up. And in this mirror match, I mean, there's a lot of weird, wonky stuff. Like if 2 F-15s were to run into each other, who would win? And it's kind of wonky and weird because I mean, theoretically they should both finish each other off, but clearly one has to win, and so there's slight advantages in mirror matches that go to tie scenarios, because someone has to win a tie. There's no such thing as an absolute tie. Well, unless the 2 rockets hit each other simultaneously. Somebody has to get the first hit, somebody has to miss, blah 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 blah. And these new, recently buffed Harrier jets are quite good now, have become very, very popular on NATO's side. They're 55 points or something ridiculous like that. You can rally out 4 of them, I believe, and they just really perform well. So great buff right there for the Harrier, the British Harrier, and I thought I saw something, but I did not. Alright. So we're moving into the mid-game. The mid-game is a part where people are basically like rallying out more units and preparing for their next engagements. And it looks like the plan for blue will be to go quality over quantity. Get lots of these big, heavy, powerful tanks. Whereas the tactic here for the packed player will be to get a lot of cheaper units. Anti-tank, infantry, whatnot. See how they go. And this looks like a pretty general consensus strategy for all players all around. So as we move into the mid-game, we're seeing the Chieftain MK10 doing a little bit of damage, picking off some infantry here and there, and Tomcats, of course, doing their little pickings and whatnot, as more and more tanks should be rallying out. Here comes some anti-tank helicopters, some anti-infantry, anti-tank helicopters, as well as 2 AMX LPs. That changes the game plan quite a bit, because now they can shell out some of those infantry most indefinitely with the AMX AUF-1, the OP. What are you signaling here? It says defense. Defend the honor of my poor Jaggers? Mick Jagger? What are you doing here, Mick Jaggers? And of course, defend this location here. So the artillery is one of these big in-game units. When you get this many units on the map, the person with a lot of artillery gains a very significant advantage. Splash damage will do a lot more damage when units are closer together, and as you get more, the more damage it'll do. A place like this will be crazy for artillery if they're willing to realize that that's a great potential situation. In fact, the AMX has not even used it. They haven't shown that hand. They might be rolling that out for the stun feature. These vehicles have a very nice feature. When they explode, they can stun. And we're seeing here a nice little Legion battle. Looks like these Legion will get cleaned up by the VAB combined with the Hervarmschen. Danish infantry, I believe. Yep. But not without support of the Chieftain MK10s. Any veterancy? Oh yes, they have veterancy. Of course they. Why wouldn't they not have veterancy? And that fizzles out pretty fast. So yeah, I believe what we're going to see is possibly some sort of combined arms push. Focused heavily on tanks. You don't get tanks if you're not going to push. You get anti-tank, you get anti-infantry, you get anti-air if you're not going to push. So we'll probably see some kind of combined arms push eventually after some kind of picking has been done. One toe down. Will the Harpon go as well? That's a big question for us right now, as this Leopard is just killing right now. And these heavy tanks just really pay in spades. Like, they're really good compared to these little cheapy 20-point tanks that, you know, seemingly just die. We have a Jupiter here to restock up this Leopard. And, ooh, that Harpon is so close to death. And by close to death, I mean full health. The next shot could do it. No. Moves at a range of fire. And the Leopard should pull back. Yes, he does. Right into the Jupiter where he can restock, get that health back up, and continue building veterancy. Taking damage, dealing damage, being near damage, all increases veterancy. So, I mean, keep that in mind when you're trying to damage a tank and you don't kill it, especially with these heavy tanks, because eventually that's going to hurt you. And here comes a shot. Able to successfully kill anything here. Looks like he does get an 2 IHawk kills. That's pretty significant. And what we have here, OP fire. The OP has been revealed, hitting these anti-air vehicles, which of course are actually vulnerable to artillery. But you can see here that even with all that artillery barrage, not too much is done. 50% health done in damage. Will the OP go for another shot? That's the question. You have to be pretty efficient with them. Okay, and we have a fleet of airplanes here. Just find their rounds at the VABs, as it might be finally the end of this little bastion, this little hole of Jaggers. Now, if I was playing this, and keep in mind, I'm not very good at this game, I would actually attack right up this side here. Only for the sake of that, if you can puncture this, you have control of this and this important road to the main base. But like I said, I'm not very good. So instead, we'll see what has basically become the metagame is kind of a stalemate type situation. There should eventually be some sort of breaking of this. Red does not look like he's positioning himself to break. He looks like he's positioning himself to defend. Interestingly, that there's one base in the map that hasn't been taken yet, this Bravo base. Probably won't get taken. And y'all get shut down? Nope. F-15 Eagle comes in. In fact, we're getting an attack order from Gondie. What could this mean? Well, we can see that there are a lot of tanks positioned on this flank here, attacking in this way, so that could be pretty significant soon. And it's actually a lot of tanks. 2 Leopards, 3 Chieftains, and in fact, The opponent engaging the Legion with tanks, not always the best move, and could be game deciding right here as the Leopard just gets away. So close. An artillery barrage could finish that off. A single bomb could finish that off. And we have another OP coming out. And here comes the artillery barrage that I'm just talking about. And it's traveling overhead. Will it hit the key target? It's the question. Will it strike? Gold! Here we go. Gold, gold, golden. Come on, destroy it. It's right here. Oh, God, just misses. 1 point on 2 vehicles, however. What a sad face for that OP to be in. And looks like the attack command has been rescinded. I don't know. But we do see some Leopard 2s, some M1 Abrams all moving up, preparing for some sort of attack. When attacking, you should always make sure to concentrate forces. Concentrated forces perform much better than flanking forces. This is a tactic that dates back to the time of the Persians. In situations where you're going to try and flank your opponent, the only way flanks will work is if there's a benefit to a flank. So, you know, the Persians were flanking all sorts of places, and they went to Athens. They're like, well, they don't have archers, so what would be the point of flanking them? Let's just hit them straight on and protect their archers. And this is the same situation here. There's no real purpose of flanks because all the flanks are kind of covered roughly the same with the same sort of stuff. And if you try and flank, that just means that what you're doing is giving opportunity to weak points to not be exposed. You hit the weak point with a hammer. You don't hit it with a nail. It's a pretty good metaphor. Alright, and we're going to speed this game ahead. We're going to see a lot of these little jostlings of aircraft. These guys must be fairly good to keep the aircraft alive this long. Just doing little pot shots here and there wherever they can. And once again, F-14 Tomcats in the air, just circling around so that they can be deployed if something's needed. And we're going to see a lot of OP fire here. 3. And we might see a little bit of an artillery off. Also, one of the weird things about AirLand Battle that just didn't exist in European Escalation is that people do run out of troops eventually. Especially if they play super aggressive. So what do you have rolling down here? 2 VABs and a bunch of supply trucks. Might be trying to grab this base. Will this random Yager here see anything? That's a good question. This random Yager has been sitting here this entire game. Not entirely clear what it's used for. I can see if it was like an anti-air unit, but I don't know what this is for. And I mean, this is spotted, but is it spotted by this? That's the question. The question that needs to be asked. Speaking of which, the Leopard 2 is going to move up 2 Leopard 2s. Firing in the distance. Going to get some nice shots off. Actually got some damage done there. There are 2 ATGM Milans, and they're gone just before they get their rockets off. That is crazy. Here comes more tanks. A pair of tanks rolling out. Keep in mind, there is some maneuverability. Oh, great reverse command here as he's trying to micro away. La-ti-da, that was one of Troublemaker's many lessons. Reverse micro, complete. Takes basically no damage on these Leopard 2s and dealt some damage. Now, there is a helicopter giving chase. He doesn't quite have any real AA in the area, but he does have an Eagle. And looks like we'll see a pullback from Giboros as Olivarius is in trouble. We're now at the 10-minute marker. We should see some pretty crazy stuff coming soon. I mean, it's just that we're coming to the end of the game. And speaking of crazy stuff, a little bit of tank micro here. Oh, so good. Did he lose a single M1 Abrams? I don't think he did. Now we're going to see some artillery barrage hitting the back here. If you can get one of these supply trucks, that'd be awesome. And he got all of them. That was indeed awesome. The Leopard 2A4 is still basically out of commission. 1 hit point off of it. We're seeing some really great late game micro happening here as both players are working hard to get things done. We have a cheapy mortar here with the Tempella. The Tempella. And here we go. The Leopard's moving up again. Wants to pick off more of these Milan 2s, which are basically out in the open right now. And they are beginning the fire. We have a rocket, which completely missed. It didn't go very far at all. And Leopard 2, 2 of these babies, charging in the distance. Fire is good. Hits that Milan. Now we have another pack here. Will he go forward? No, he does not. He's just doing a little bit of micro back and forth, not trying to do too much crazy stuff. Some little bit of fire here from the helicopters, pushing back this M1 Abrams, which has 1 hit point left. Here comes a rocket. This could destroy it, and it misses. Just barely misses. There's a severe loss of anti-air here for the Team Blue, who need to get those anti-air units forward to try and deal with these helicopters, which are just causing havoc and chaos. And we're seeing a general defense order here for this crazy defensive line. I'm assuming that means he wants AA to be brought forward. And look at this, just so good. Komarami style play, just picking off and moving back. There he goes, back again. Just hit what was in his vision. There are some nice things in here for him to kill, but he's not going for those. We're seeing a lot of helicopters actually coming out, which is a very crazy late game tactic. Helicopters do very, very well late game, and basically a lot of the game will either come to massing out a lot of artillery units and smashing in the opponent with just massive amounts of nastiness, or as an alternative, destroying as much AA as possible and then rallying a bunch of helicopters. Both do really well. But it shouldn't do well right now just because there haven't been a lot of engagements, considering all things. And we're looking at about a 200 point difference now, so not too far for Olivarius and Giboros to really come back from this, as we see more artillery going back and forth. Artillery barrages will be a big decider here. Of course, they have to keep refilling these, have to be constantly using these, because at this point in the game, there's no excuse for having artillery with full loads on them. They should all be empty very, very soon. And we're seeing Giboros is just pounding those already, pounding. Now, no, he doesn't have a great score right now, mostly because the big engagements have been done by, actually, I'm sorry, I got a mistake. He does have a big score. Ha ha ha. It's Olivarius who doesn't have the massive score. Counter artillery done, and we see panic and shaking. If he can actually get that Grizzly CP, that would be huge. Still, this base not taken. No attempts to take this base. No interest in this base. And there's no need to take it anymore. More of these helicopters are getting rallied out. Helicopters and AA seems to be the marching order here for Mr. Giboros. And on this flank, we will see that Giboros is basically everywhere. And it's kind of interesting. This is a very different style of 2v2 when you look at where people are. Because it seems that Olivarius has taken the center and Giboros has taken the wings. And this is a very different way of splitting up the map. Most people go like, I'll take this half and you'll take this half. You know, kind of like badminton. Some people are like, I'll play on the left and you play on the right. And some people are like, no, I'll play the front of the court and you play the back of the court. That way we're not running into each other. That's so smart. So speaking of which, hovering F-14 Tomcats. Hopefully we see something relatively soon. A general rallying of troops. In fact, we're seeing 30 Legion moving forward with support of artillery. Will they actually be able to get forward is a pretty good question to ask. Looks like they just barely will not make it. Too many Chasseurs deployed. And here comes the Abrams though, a huge lineup of tanks. This is really what the action we've been waiting for. Massive lineup of tanks deploying down the field, barrages in the distance, and counter coming. We see some great micro back here as all the tanks are immediately pulling back. Don't want to get caught in the line of fire as this crazy rocket fire is doing so much damage. We see helicopters going down left and right from the AA, and this gives a pretty considerable lead to NATO. Now with a 400 point lead, up from 200, and The Amex Hots trying to strike gold here. If he can hit this Abrams or this Leopard, the Leopard actually would be the big one. That'd be huge. We're seeing a multi-flank, multi-pronged tank approach here where they're just... And this guy, Fussel, mark my words, will probably eventually be a great player in the game because he's just doing very, very well with this tank micro. Just moving tanks forward, picking up what he can, and then moving back those injured ones very, very quickly. The Leopard 2 has to move back very quickly though. They are, in fact, very vulnerable to Amex Hots. Here comes a big micro back, just as instructed. Oh, so good, Ghandi. So good. And more tanks continue to move forward. As we see a big, giant push forward with the right-click button. The Chieftain MK10 low on health moving forward. He doesn't, of course, realize that he is, in fact, in the lead. Hussars are moving forward, provide some vision to knock out these chasseurs in the villages, and all the tanks moving forward. Ooh, good micro back. Look at this. Low health tanks getting pushed back. M1 Abrams will be taking the brunt of the force here. And he actually has the Jupiter here resupplying as he needs to. Very cool. Very interesting stuff. And we have just damage being done from all directions. M1's getting pulled back just in time. Look at this great micro here. Chieftain MK10, a little overextended, truthfully. But will he get the job done is a different question. It looks like the answer is yes, he is getting the job done with support of a nice little CEV, which I don't know anything about. It appears to be some sort of tank with anti-infantry type capabilities. And really doing good. M1 Abrams lining up another shot. What's he going to fire at? Who knows? 700 points to go, and this is actually a finishing type maneuver here, people. We see lost tanks. Artillery barrages hitting. Looks like it's a total miss, however, as this giant battlefield full of tanks is just erupting with personality. Is this a good interpretation of anything, really? And just picking up every single infantry that's coming along. There is absolutely nowhere but Olivarius and Giboros to run. They are in so much trouble right now. Fussel with his crazy good micro is just absolutely dominating on Giboros. Here comes some Chieftain MK10s moving up even further. Not wanting to get any infantry out, because note the time. Infantry aren't going to do anything right now. It's all about the tanks. It's all about the anti-tanks. It's all about those airplanes and those helicopters. And, I mean, just the great knowledge here by Olivarius. Rallies out a bunch of tank destroyers, rallying out a bunch of tanks. He just knows the units that he rallies out are ones that he will use now. And he wants those big, bursty, powerful units. He doesn't care about how much supply they'll burn or how ineffective they'll be. A huge Leopard 2A1 was wiped out in midfield here by his Leopard 2A4. Look at the great amount of veterancy on this unit. Pulling back once again just in time. I don't think this guy's lost a single tank this battle. And he continues to push forward with these. One Chieftain MK10, in fact, has gone down, and looks like another one will go down. Once again, I did believe that was an overextension. I was right. And, ooh, huge kill on that tank destroyer. 300 points to go, and everything's pretty stacked up. He's still resupplying en masse these tanks. He doesn't want to lose any of them. He's playing very, very smartly. They're all restocked, ready to go, and he continues to bring in more supply. He actually doesn't have an FOB, so this is actually a very expensive resupply to get these very, very high max veteran tanks into battle. And here comes more craziness, artillery fire, just chewing through this red battlefield, in which it's hard to see what the difference is between a tank and a hole in the ground right now. It's just really bad. Troops are in position here for the red team, but will it matter? I mean, at this point, tanks can just plow through and destroy everything. And in fact, that's what the plan, the order of the day is. Here comes the tanks rushing forward, plowing through the lines. Will this last bastion of hope do anything? Or will this be the final shot, the final volley of the game? 43 points left in the game, and here comes the big push. Tomcats are even being risque right now. He only has to kill one more tank, one more unit, one more of anything as these last 4 Leopard 2s come forward. And here comes a super ended thing that has apparently done the victory. And great game overall for these players who have just shown some really amazing tank play. My name is Troublmaker. I have one more game for the week. And yeah, join in. Like this video before you leave. Subscribe to my channel if you're not a subscriber. and definitely come back next week. Thank you guys for watching.